What is up, everybody? It's your boy Stormlord of Chaos coming at taking away your peace for the day. And today we're gonna be doing what if Deku was Sinbad's son. This is going to be a My Hero Academia what if, as most of you know by the name of the main character. And how this is gonna work is we all know that Sinbad is this all-powerful being who's collected all these jinns from dungeons. And if you don't know what I'm talking about the TV show that is on Netflix called Magi: The Adventures of Sinbad, and there are two other TV shows where Sinbad is in, but they all only have one season. And I'm going to be doing it on the first one that I mentioned, Sinbad, the Magi: The Adventures of Sinbad. In this, no, it's going to be based off of all three of them. In this, Sinbad ends up finding a dungeon. He captures it, and this djinn is going to be called Dimension. And this djinn controls time and space. And by time and space, I mean this djinn is a female and can travel between different dimensions. And Sinbad now uses dimension to travel to the My Hero Academia universe. And And then Sinbad meets Inko, not the short chubby Inko. He meets the tall, skinny Inko, which is I rather prefer. I don't mean to hate on Inko, but I like the tall mother Inko rather than the short, chubby Inko. No offense to her. Then they have a child. As we all know, it's Izukami Doria. And here's the thing. Deku is still born quirkless, but Sinbad leaves behind two things for Deku. And these are going to be his two so-called quirks. He leaves behind Ball, the djinn of wrath and heroism, who controls lightning, and he also leaves behind Valifor, the djinn who controls ice and snow. Now, these are going to be two of Izuku's quirks, and they are going to be in the form of two karambit knives. Okay, two karambit knives. Ball in the right, Valifor in the left. One for illusion, one for lightning. And when they go to the quirk doctor, they notice that... Oh, and also, I didn't mention this, but the way that Izuku's gonna have these two djinns, they're not gonna be on something like Sinbad's sword or Sinbad's necklace. They're going to be imprints on his body. He'll have two, I guess you'd call them tattoos, but they're not. He'd have two tattoos on the back of his hand in that symbol, the circle with the two squares in them, in the form of that big triangle thing. He's gonna have those two symbols on his hands, and when he activates them, two karambit knives come out. One controls lightning, Ball, djinn of wrath and heroism, Valifor, djinn of ice and snow. And Deku's mainly going to be using not Valifor, Ball, because it gives him a speed advantage. It basically ups his agility like crazy, and when he attacks, lightning strikes everywhere. It's the same with Valifor, except instead of lightning, it's ice, or it's mainly ice. And when he cuts stuff, like You know how when you make a knife red hot and you cut something and it starts melting it immediately, like the sides start to melt. Um, think of that, but instead of it being melting, it's freezing. So like on that one video in ADHD's world, where they freeze an M48 twisted dagger, and when they twist it inside, and when they stab something, it when they stab something, it freezes the inside. That's basically what Valifor does when you slash with it. And Deku's going to explain that they are a part of his quirk, per se, because it's not a quirk. The doctor says quirkless, but then the back of Deku's hands start glowing, and they don't know why. So they do some tests to find out what his quirk, to find out what his so-called quirk is, and to their astonishment, he still doesn't have a quirk. Just the back of his hands start glowing. Now after that, he goes to school where and then everyone's showing off their quirks. For right before Izuku goes up, Bakugo goes up and says, "My quirk is explosions," and then he pops off small explosions. Then Deku comes up and then he says, "Well, I don't know what my quirk is, but for some reason, whenever someone says I'm quirkless, the back of my hands glow." And no one believes Deku, so someone, a random character that no one knows of, says, "That's not true. You must have a quirk. Otherwise, then you're quirkless." Then his hands start to glow, and something different happens this time. Two knives pop out. He doesn't grab them, they just fall on the floor. One is freezing the floor, the other has lightning coming off of it. Just small sparks of lightning that are striking the hardwood that's on the ground. Okay, now that that's out of the way. Deku is bullied, but he's not bullied that much as in canon. Cause people all they think he has a quirk, but he can't really use it. And remember, this is all in from pre-K to like the middle of elementary school to the end of elementary school. I mean, not elementary, middle school. That all happens in that time. And when Deku enters middle school, he discovers something about his so-called quirk. Excuse me. He discovers that. Well, he doesn't discover anything. One night when he's asleep, and this is in the middle of middle school. One night when he's asleep, he dreams of his father. And in this dream, it shows, because in Magi, The Adventures of Sinbad, it shows that Sinbad is fighting someone. He's fighting that guy who uses the giant spear and shield thing. And he sees his father transform into this, I guess, humanoid lightning beast thing. And when he says the words "Balalak Saika," lightning strikes everywhere and destroys a few mountains. Then it switches over to another. It ends there, and it switches over to another event where he's fighting this lady, and this lady she has a djinn that controls lightning, fire, and ice. Lightning on one, fire on one side, ice on the other. I mean, lightning on one side, ice on the other, and fire in the center. She is the fire, and she has two heads in the back of her head that are made out of gold that shoot ice and lightning. And he then after he wakes up, he decides he wants to train to develop his quirk, to be able to control it. So once he's out of school for the day, he goes into the forest because I think I it doesn't show it in the anime or any no it does in the beginning of the anime when they're kids. There's a forest behind the playground, so he goes into that forest, real deep into the forest. He still knows the way. He knows the way back, but it's real deep into the forest, so he can train because he doesn't want to. He doesn't want to hurt anyone because he doesn't know how to control his quirk yet, so-called quirk. And he thinks about the two dreams and everyone who's ever called him quirkless. Then his hands start to slowly brighten up with the symbol on the back of his hands that look like tattoos to everyone, but they're not. They start to light up, and then the karambits start to form. It look When they form, they're made out of ice and they're made out of lightning. But when Deku grabs them, the ice cracks and disperses into the karambit knife. Its handle is a really, and I mean really dark blue, almost black, and the blade is silver, pure silver, and that's Valifor. With the lightning one, ball, it is when he grabs it, the lightning disperses, and the handle, it's pitch black, like the color of my pillow that I'm sitting on right now, and the color of the screen that you are all looking at. The handle is pitch black, and the blade is a really light but also really dark at the same time storm gray, with like streaks of white on it to represent the lightning. So he has those two karambit knives, and he's spinning them around, getting a good feel for them before he starts to use them. Then with Ball, his right karambit, he strikes a tree, and the tree is turned to ashes because of lightning. And when he sees this, he gets a little frightened, and he drops it, then it disappears, and then it reappears back in his hand, and he grabs it. And he's interested by this, so he goes with Valifor in his left, and he strikes another tree. And what happens is it slowly, as he scratches the tree with his blade, where he scratched, it starts to slowly expand out. Ice starts to slowly expand out over the tree, all over the leaves, and then it shatters into billions of pieces. So over the course of from middle school to the end of on the final day where they do the test, Deku has been training, and I mean really training. And almost every night he's had that same dream where his dad, Sinbad, is using Valifor or Ball in different situations when he's fighting. And then I'm gonna say this. No. Yeah, during the sports festival, because that's when they show off. He a week before the sports festival, he learns the incantation so he can use a Jin equip. Excuse me. I had some cereal that makes me gassy. Excuse me. Okay, so back to the main storyline. Now, and throughout the middle of middle school to the end, he's been training like crazy, and every night he has the same dream. He learns about the incantation to use a full Jin equip, but it's not different. But whenever he tries to use it, it backfires, and the karambits don't break, but they disperse, and for the rest of the day he can't use them. No, during the USJ. Yeah, during the USJ. Okay. So you get to the end of middle school. The teacher says, "Good afternoon, everybody. Today we're gonna be choosing what track you're going to go on. Police, whatever job you're gonna choose. And then he says, "I'm just kidding. We all know that you want to go the hero track." And everyone just starts going crazy, showing off their quirk with that guy with the eyeballs. Then everyone calms down, turns off their quirks, and then the teacher says, "Hold up." I mean, not teacher. Bakugo then says, "Hold up, teach. Don't lump me in with all these losers. I'm gonna be the only one going to UA and becoming the #1 hero." Then the teacher looks down at his papers and he sees Bakugo's scores, and he says, "Ah, yes, Katsuki Bakugo. Looks like you have a promising future. With your quirk and grades, you most definitely will get into UA." Then he looks down at his papers again to see if anyone else wants to go to, did the same thing, as had the same grades as, or who basically did similar to Bakugo. Then he sees, and he says, "Oh right, Midoriya, didn't you want to go to UA?" Everyone does start laughing, but then out of nowhere, because no one knew that Deku was training, no one knew about it. So out of nowhere, he lifts up his hands to where the back of his hands are facing everyone, and then he says, "Ball, Valafor." And 2 karambit knives appear out of nowhere. And Deku says, "This is my quirk, summoning." And yes, I'm going to call it summoning, but whenever he actually uses it, he says Ball and Valafor, because those are the names of the daggers. I mean, not the daggers, the karambits. So, after that, everyone stops laughing immediately. And then Bakugo then goes over to Deku and says, "Ha, you call that a quirk? That's just a simple magic trick." Then out of nowhere, Deku takes Valafor and stabs it into his desk. Pulls it out, and his desk slowly starts to freeze over. You know how Todoroki freezes the 0-pointers and the ice expands out over the 0-pointer and then it just falls? It does that, but instead of falling, it shatters into millions of pieces. And then he goes to Katsuki's desk and uses Ball and stabs it into his desk. But instead of pulling it out, he tightens his grip on it, and then lightning starts to build up within the blade, and then turns the desk into ashes. Excuse me. And after that, Deku just gets up and he walks over to the door at the back of the class, because that's where he sits. He gets up, goes to the door and says, "You all say I'm quirkless. What do you call that?" Then he just leaves. He goes out and he takes the shortcut home, like always, because Deku realized something. If he doesn't want to get bullied, he has to avoid it. He has to avoid the people who bully him, and also confront them at the same time. So at school, when they try to bully him, he avoids them, and out of school, he confronts them. Not in the way that you would think he goes out and beats the ever living crap out of them, but he does confront them. And then out of nowhere, the sludge villain attacks, and it does grab onto Deku. But here's the thing: Deku noticed the sludge villain, and he wants the sludge villain to attack him, because when when the sludge villain covers his mouth, instead of saying it out loud, he just thinks it, because he can do that. He says Ball and Valafor within his head, and they appear. He grabs them and tightens his grip like crazy, and then ice. Then he goes with all of his strength with his left, stabs into the sludge villain, and with Valafor, and with his right Ball, he does the same. And out of nowhere, the sludge villain freezes over and is being electrocuted at the same time. So when when the sludge villain completely freezes over, Deku breaks out of it, and then he just shocks the sludge villain some more. So the ice melts and he goes into a sludge form and he's passed out. Then All Might comes in and then he sees Deku standing over the sludge villain with two karambit knives in his hands, as we all know. And he says, "Boy, did you do this to this villain?" And then when Deku turns around, he notices that it's All Might. He's surprised, but he's not the nerd as we all know him anymore. He's nerd E, like he still studies heroes, but he doesn't idolize Obama. I mean, not Obama. Sorry, an image of Barack Obama just appeared on my TV screen for some reason. He doesn't idolize All Might. He doesn't analyze any of the heroes. He just studies them and their quirks so he can think of new ways to use his. And he says, "Oh, hello, All Might. Yes, I did. He attacked me, so I didn't mean to use my quirk. I apologize for breaking the law, but I had to. It was self-defense." And All Might, instead of scolding Deku for using his quirk, for breaking the law, he says, "Ha ha ha! I'm not going to scold you, boy. Yes, it was in self-defense, and yes, you did break the law, but you still stopped a villain. This man has killed many people and robbed many others. So I thank you in helping me save him." And Deku doesn't have that question to say, "Can I be a hero without while not having a quirk?" He doesn't ask that. Instead, he asks before All Might jumps away. He asks All Might, "Can someone be a hero if they're quirkless?" And All Might says, "No, they can't. But they can be a hero in many other ways." And then he jumps off. And I'm gonna end it right. No, I'm not gonna end it right here. Now we get to Deku walking by, and All Might, while thinking, he's not paying attention, and the sludge villain wakes up within the bottle, and he slowly breaks out of it, and then the bottle's falling. Then Bakugo kicks it, and the sludge villain covers him up. Then that happens. Bakugo's trying to get free. Then we go back over to Deku. We see, we don't see. He ends up feeling the vibrations in the earth from the explosions, and he ends up hearing them as well. So he says, "Ball." Ball comes out. He squeezes it, and then lightning starts to go up his arm and down to his legs. Then he gets into a running position, and then darts off. And he releases Ball from his hands, and it disappears. But the lightning is still within his body, so he's running as fast as he can to reach where the explosions are, because he wants to see what's happening. He reaches there, then he sees that it's the sludge villain, and he's thinking, "Didn't I take care of him? Didn't All Might take him to the police?" And then All Might comes by and sees in his small might form that the sludge villain escaped, and he didn't know. So, and then we go back to Deku. Then he sees something within the sludge villain. He sees a kid, and not that. He notices the heroes and that they're not doing anything. And he's questioning himself and the heroes. Why aren't they doing anything? Come on, hurry up and stop him. He says that out loud. Then he notices that there's a kid being attacked by the sludge villain. There's a kid inside the sludge villain. And then he notices the sandy blonde hair and the explosions that are going off. And he realizes it's Bakugo. And then without him thinking, and Bakugo and Deku aren't friends in this, but without thinking, Deku just runs out. And summons and then yells. He doesn't just say it. He yells, "Valifor! Bon!" And they come out. And then in the heat of the moment, he ends up chanting the full Jin equip chant in his head. And his arms start to slowly transform into that of Ball's full Jin equip. And his legs and chest and torso, chest area, start to transform into that of Valifor's. And he grows Valifor's ears. And he has Ball's ring of fire on his head. And then everyone, including the Sludge Villain, and All Might, are surprised by this. And Deku's in a fit of rage, a small fit of rage, not berserk rage. And he goes to attack the Sludge Villain. And when he attacks, his lightning is much stronger. So when he attacks, he ends up knocking out Bakugo and then pulling Bakugo out of the Sludge Villain. Then with Valifor, he extends the karambit using his ice more. So instead of it being the typical karambit length, it extends about a foot. So it becomes a short sword, a short curved sword. You know, in Skyrim, the Red Guard, they use curved swords. Think of that. Just turn to where the backside is facing forward, and he's holding it like a knife. In the backside, that's the curved backside that's facing forward, is the blade. So he extends it using ice, and then he slashes at the Sludge Villain, cutting him in half and freezing both the top half that's slowly falling down to the ground and the bottom half, and they shatter into millions of pieces. Then Deku slowly de-transforms, and then when he completely de-transforms, he's wondering what happened. What just happened? He was standing over there just a moment ago. Then out of nowhere, the press start charging at Deku, and then they start asking him, "Whoa, kid, what's your quirk? What did you just do?" And then Deku, while flustered, says this in a stammering tone. And don't get me wrong, Deku's not going to be his timid self. He's going to be really smart, but he's not going to be timid. But at this point, he's just straight up flustered, so he becomes timid. And he says this to everyone. My quirk is summoning. And he summons his two knives. But I don't know what just happened. The last thing I remember was standing over there. And then everyone is surprised by this, but they don't ask any questions, because All Might buffs up and comes in and says this with his natural smile and his big booming voice. "Amazing, young man, amazing. What is your name?" Izuku Midoriya. Not in that tone of voice, but still, he says Izuku Midoriya. "Well, young Midoriya, I thank you, for you have saved many lives, and I don't wish to say this, but gotten revenge for many others. I thank you. Now, everyone, I hereby state that I will be giving this boy my personal recommendation for UA High School. Now, if you'll excuse me, I must go." And All Might jumps away, and then while everyone's focused on All Might while he jumps away, Naruto, he summons Ball, and he knows something different about Ball. When he summons him, he hears a loud thunderclap. When he summons Ball, he grabs it, and then when the lightning disperses, there's a loud thunderclap, like lightning just struck something. Then he puts the lightning in his legs in a split second, and he starts running off. And no one knows where Deku has gone. They just see some dust where he was once standing. Now, this is going to be the end of this episode. This is your boy Storm, Lord of Chaos, giving you your peace back. See you later.